Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're opening up a pretty detailed stack of source material. It's all focused on one place, Vanuatu.
That's right, a South Pacific archipelago. Remarkable, definitely, but maybe also a bit challenging for travelers.
Exactly. We've pulled together research, travel reports, economic stuff. Basically, we're giving you the full picture, a deep dive into whether it makes sense for a trip in, say, 2026.
hmm
Think of this as your shortcut, get fully informed about this nation of, 83 islands before you even think about booking anything.
And it's a place of real extremes, which is kind of the core of what we're looking at today, isn't it?
Totally.
You got these landscapes, these primal forces, still so visible, active volcanoes.
Right next to ancient cultures.
Yeah, cultures governed by Kastom traditions going back millennia. And then surrounding all that, some of the most, well, pristine coral reefs left anywhere.
So the big question for you listening is, given the logistics, which can be tricky, and the cost, which isn't rock bottom, is Vanuatu actually worth the effort? Especially compared to some of its maybe easier neighbors in the South Pacific.
That's the nut we need to crack.
Absolutely. So our mission today is kind of twofold. First, we need to break down what you actually experience on the key islands. We're talking Efate, Tanna, and Espiritu Santo mainly. What are the logistics like there?
And second,
Second, we've got to really dig into the costs. Everything from those surprisingly cheap guest houses,
surprisingly cheap yet.
right up to the tours you pretty much have to take. And getting between the islands, we're trying to weigh up that balance.
Convenience versus authenticity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you paying more just for things to be easy, or are you paying for that raw, authentic Vanuatu experience? Because honestly, the sources suggest getting both easily at the same time, almost impossible there.
Okay, interesting. Let's unpack that then. Where do we start? Logically, it has to be the arrival point.
Right, the gateway.
Yeah.
So if you're flying into Vanuatu internationally, you're landing in Port Vila, that's on the main island, Efate.
Unavoidable, really. It's the primary gateway for pretty much everyone.
And it functions as this sort of acclimatization zone. It's where you get your bearings. The sources paint a nice picture. It's not some huge city, more like a lively town. Busy markets.
Oh yeah, packed with produce.
And those nice, relaxed cafes right on the beachfront. It kind of eases you in.
It's definitely set up to absorb that initial, arrival shock. Handle the first costs, get organized. Port Vila has the most developed infrastructure by far.
Okay.
But even right there in the capital, you can start that cultural orientation, and pretty cheaply, too. One source really focused on the National Museum.
Yes, I saw that.
The entry fee is tiny. Maybe, $2 to $5 equivalent in Vanuatu, the local currency?
That's nothing.
Exactly. And for that tiny cost, you get this vital context, the history you need to really appreciate the outer islands when you get there later.
That makes sense. And while you're easing in, lots of the sources say, just dive into the local markets.
Definitely.
They're not just for food, are they? They're like the economic heart of the place. You see local crafts, woven bags, carved wood things.
Beautiful stuff, often.
And to help with budgeting, the reports suggest prices for, decent local souvenirs are maybe $5 up to $50, depending on how complex it is.
Right. And it's a great way to put money straight into the local economy at that grassroots level.
Yeah, directly to the makers.
What's really interesting in Port Vila, though, is how that economic range plays out in the food scene. You mentioned markets. Sticking to the food stalls there.
Okay.
That's where you find the real heart of Vanuatu food.
Okay.
Simple stuff, fresh, based on local things like taro, yam, fish, chicken. You can eat incredibly well for maybe $5 to $10 a meal. That's your low-cost, high-authenticity option.
Right.
But then the moment you want, say, Italian food or just a more familiar, comfortable restaurant setting with table service.
For price jumps.
Drastically, yeah. Sit-down places in Vila, especially the ones aimed at tourists or expats, you're probably looking at $20 to $40 for a meal.
Wow, quite a difference.
It really lays bare that choice for the traveler, right there in one city. Simple, cheap immersion, or convenient, more expensive comfort.
And that choice carries right over into where you sleep, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Accommodation in Port Vila is where you see the biggest range in the whole country, really. The only place with that kind of scale.
So, at the bottom end.
Budget end, the sources say you can find basic guest houses for around $30 a night.
$30? I mean, that sounds amazing for the South Pacific. That region's usually known for being pricey. But what's the catch? What are you giving up for $30?
Okay, that's the crucial caveat we need to talk about. $30 sounds great, but you are sacrificing Well, reliability and standard Western comforts.
Like what specifically?
Our analysis suggests that at the $30 level, you probably won't have guaranteed hot water, air
Yeah.
conditioning. Almost certainly not. And booking might be more about, knowing someone locally than using a website. It's minimal infrastructure,
Yeah.
very minimal.
Okay, so that $30 price tag demands a bit more flexibility, patience.
Exactly. Adaptability is key. Now, if you step up to what we'd call mid-range comfort, say that $80 to $150 a night range,
What are you paying for then?
you're paying for reliability, mostly. Guaranteed aircon, power that stays on, probably pool, and definitely the ease of booking online through normal channels.
Okay, predictability.
Precisely. Port Vila really is that convenience hub. Lets you shake off the jet lag, sort out your plans before you head out to the roared adventure of the outer islands. It's where you shift from just watching to actually doing.
Got it. Makes sense as a starting point.
Right, so once you're stocked up, adjusted in Vila,
Yeah.
the next logical step for the real adventure, according to the sources, is Tanna Island.
Tanna. Yeah, its reputation definitely precedes it, and it's all about one thing, isn't it? Mount Yasur.
That's the powerhouse. The island's fame rests almost entirely on that volcano. It's known worldwide as one of the most accessible active volcanoes.
Accessible meaning. You can get really close.
Unusually close, yeah. The sources confirm visitors can often stand remarkably near the caldera, feeling the ground shake, watching actual eruptions. It's intense.
Wow.
That ability to experience a live volcano, that's Tanna's big draw. It's why people put up with the flight, the more basic travel conditions.
But getting there, it's
Yes.
not like you just wander up, right?
No, definitely not. It's highly structured for safety
Mm.
and also for local land management. It's all done through guided tours, mandatory guided tours.
Right. You can't just hike it yourself.
No way.
And these tours, they come with a price tag, a significant one, it seems.
They do. It needs to be factored into the budget up front. The sources put the all-in cost, that's transport from your accommodation, plus park fees somewhere between $70 and $120.
Okay, so if you're trying to stick to that, say, $100 a day budget,
Yep.
that one activity blows through more than a whole day's worth.
It does. Which brings us to the aha moment, the thing that makes the cost seem worthwhile.
Which is?
While seeing it during the day is impressive, the sources are unanimous. The sunset and night tours are the real deal. That's when the spectacle is just unbelievable.
Because of the lava.
Exactly. You're not just seeing ash and smoke. You're seeing bright, glowing, molten rock being thrown into the dark sky. It's natural fireworks. The reports suggest that visual alone makes a whole Tanna trip worth it for many adventure travelers.
Okay, I can picture that, but Tanna's not just the volcano, is it? The culture seems equally important.
Oh, absolutely. If Yasur is the island's geographic heart, then the deep cultural immersion, that's its soul. Tanna is widely seen as the sort of epicenter of Vanuatu's traditional culture, the whole concept of Kastom.
Right, Kastom. We need to unpack that word a bit because it comes up constantly in the research.
We really do. It's crucial. Kastom isn't just like a show put on for tourists. It's the whole system.
The whole system.
Yeah, traditional Melanesian law, their beliefs, social structures, how they own land. It dictates daily life and how things are run in the villages, often completely separate from the official government in Port Vila.
Wow.
So experiencing Kastom, usually by engaging respectfully with local villages, that's a massive highlight. It offers this glimpse into a way of life that's barely been touched by globalization. It's quite profound.
But here's that trade-off again. You can't have that level of cultural purity, that raw nature, without, well, scarcity of infrastructure.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the accommodation reality check on Tanna.
Yeah, let's. The sources are very clear. Tanna lodging is distinctly rustic.
Rustic meaning?
Meaning the range is narrow and it's heavily weighted towards the budget end. You can find basic guest houses starting around $20 a night.
$20, even cheaper than Vila's budget end.
Incredibly cheap, yes. But at that $20 level, we're talking truly minimal amenities. You're likely in a local-style hut, maybe a mattress on the floor.
Shared bathroom.
Shared basic pit toilet facilities, most likely. And power, probably relying on a small solar panel or a generator that only runs for a few hours. Intermittent, at best.
Okay, so you save a lot of money, but the convenience cost is huge.
Massive, yeah. And even the higher-end places on Tanna, the lodges,
Yeah.
they generally only go up to about $100 a night.
No big international hotels then?
Absolutely none. Zero. So the traveler who wants that profound experience, Yasur, the Kastom culture, they must accept the rough edges, the unpolished, slower, often inconvenient travel infrastructure. That's the price of admission for that privileged access.
Tanna really sounds like a test then, a test of your commitment to really exploring authentically.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's a profound litmus test.
Okay, so if Tanna tests your limits with fire and culture, where does Espiritu Santo fit in? The sources call it Santo mostly, right?
Yeah, usually just Santo.
Yeah.
It's the largest island, and it offers a different kind of challenge maybe. More about history and definitely water, and has this really interesting dual identity.
Dual identity how?
On one hand, it's pure tropical paradise, absolutely stunning natural beauty. On the other, it's like this huge, silent underwater museum from World War II.
Let's start with the natural beauty side. What stands out?
Well, the beaches are incredible. The sources rave about places like Champagne Beach. Apparently, it lives up to the name powdery white sand, crystal clear water.
Sounds idyllic.
It does. But for me, the most unique natural features there are the blue holes.
Ah, the blue holes. I've seen pictures. They look unreal.
They really are something else. They're not ocean. They're freshwater springs, sinkholes really, deep in the jungle, fed by underground limestone caves. And the watercolor. It's this unbelievable, intense sapphire blue, almost glows.
Just naturally like that.
Naturally like that. It's quite magical.
And visiting these places, is it expensive like the volcano tour?
Actually, no. That's a relief, isn't it? Budgeting for these natural spots on Santo seems pretty manageable. Day tours that cover, say, Champagne Beach and a couple blue holes, they seem to average around $50.
$50 for a full day covering multiple spots? That sounds a good value.
Yeah, efficient value for money, definitely.
Yeah.
Mixes relaxation, exploring, incredible photos.
Yeah.
It's a good package.
Okay, so that's the nature side. What about the other identity? The WWII stuff.
Right. This is where Santo really stands apart. During the war, the island was this massive U.S. military base. Huge staging ground for the Pacific campaign.
And the remnants are still there.
Oh, everywhere, especially underwater. That whole legacy has turned Santo into a world-class scuba diving destination.
Because of wrecks.
Exactly. It's anchored by one of the world's biggest, most accessible WWII wrecks, the SS President Coolidge.
The Coolidge, right? I've heard of that one. Huge ship.
Enormous. It was a luxury liner converted into a troop carrier, hit friendly mines, U.S. mines right there in the channel in 1942, and sank.
Wow.
And because it sank so close to shore, it's incredibly accessible for divers. It's not just a wreck. It's like an entire underwater building, an artificial reef, teeming with life now. Diving that.
Yeah.
The scale, the history.
Yeah.
It's pretty unparalleled.
Sounds incredible. But specialized diving like that usually costs a fair bit, right?
It does. You need the right gear, experienced guides who know the wreck intimately.
Yeah.
It's serious diving. Our sources put the cost at around $70 to $120 per single dive, especially for the Coolidge.
Or dive.
Yeah. So if you're a certified diver or just a big history enthusiast and you want to do multiple dives over a few days, that's going to take a significant chunk of your total travel budget. No doubt about it. You're paying for expertise and access to something extraordinary.
Makes sense. And accommodation on Santo, is it rustic like Tanna or more like Efate?
It's kind of a mix, actually, maybe leaning a bit more towards Efate, but with its own flavor. You still have budget options, guest houses starting around that $30 mark again.
Okay.
But Santo also has a better range of mid-range and even slightly higher-end places. Often these are dedicated dive resorts or nice beachfront properties, maybe up to around $150 a night.
So catering more to the divers or to families, perhaps?
Exactly. People looking for that. Mix the history, the easy access to the beautiful nature, but maybe with a bit more comfort and relaxation than you'd find easily outside Port Vila.
So it rounds out the picture then. Efate's the gentle start, Tanna's the raw adventure peak, and Santo offers this blend of history, underwater exploration, and just sheer natural beauty.
That sums it up perfectly, I think. Each offers something distinct.
Okay, beyond those big three islands, Efate, Tanna, Santo, the sources also talk a lot about Vanuatu just generally being this huge adventure playground. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole archipelago. If you're the kind of traveler who prefers doing stuff over just lying on a beach.
Which, let's face it, is probably the kind of person drawn to Vanuatu anyway.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Then it's a major draw. The research highlights things like hiking, especially along volcanic ridges, and canyoning seems popular too. Following rivers down through gorges to the sea.
Sounds intense.
Can be, yeah. And that's alongside the obvious appeal of exploring the coral reefs, which are world-class in many areas. Snorkeling, kayaking.
And the cost for these general activities, are they more affordable?
Reasonably so, it seems. Guided eco-tours, whether it's a hike to a specific waterfall or kayaking around some local reefs, they seem to consistently fall in the $50 to $100 range, Depends on how long it is, what's involved.
So still requires budgeting, but maybe not as much of a single hit as the Yasur volcano tour.
Right. It reinforces that idea that once you're on an island, the daily activities themselves, outside of maybe very specialized diving, are pretty accessible cost-wise.
Something I found really encouraging in the research was the focus on sustainability.
Ah, yes. That came through quite strongly.
For travelers who care about that and more, do many local operators seem to really emphasize responsible tourism, conservation projects tied into the tours?
Yeah, things like contributing to marine protected areas, monitoring them, or focusing on specific local conservation, like protecting sea turtles.
So that $50 or $100 isn't just buying you a fun day out. It feels like it's often contributing something back.
Exactly. It links the cost to an ethical element, which is appealing. It helps justify the spending knowing it supports the long-term health of those amazing environments.
Okay, but now, zooming out again, if we're talking about the single most unique, maybe even world-famous cultural event in the whole region,
Yeah.
we have to talk about Nuggle.
Oh, absolutely. The land diving on Pentecost Island.
This is the one that just captures the imagination, isn't it? Often called the original bungee jumping.
Kind of, yeah, but the motivation is entirely different. It's ancient. For anyone listening who doesn't know, Knuckle involves men climbing these incredibly tall wooden towers built just for this.
Totally from bush materials.
Right. They tie specially selected vines, not elastic bungee cords around their ankles.
Just fine.
Just vines. And they dive headfirst off the tower, aiming to get as close to the ground as possible without hitting it. The idea is the shoulder should graze the softened earth.
And it's tied to the yam harvest.
Exactly. It's a fertility ritual.
Mm.
Deeply spiritual, incredibly important for the community, and a spectacle of just unbelievable bravery.
It sounds like the absolute peak of authentic cultural immersion Vanuatu offers.
Arguably, yes. But it demands serious commitment from a traveler. First, timing. It's seasonal, generally April to June, tied to the yam cycle.
So you have to plan your whole trip around that window if you want to see it.
You do. And second, the source material highlights a really important cost nuance here. The ceremony itself. It's a Kastom ritual. It's free to watch.
We don't buy a ticket.
No, it's not a commercial show. You're witnessing an ancient rite. The cost comes entirely from the logistics of getting there.
Ah, because Pentecost Island is remote.
Very remote.
Mm.
Getting there during that specific Nuggle season involves complex travel, maybe small planes, maybe boats, plus local transport on the island. And you absolutely need local guides to navigate the villages respectfully, gain proper access.
So the tour cost is really for transport and facilitation.
Precisely. And those arranged tours covering flights, boats, guides, they typically range from $50 to $100.
Wait, only $50 to $100 for the whole package to witness something that unique?
That's what the sources suggest. It sounds astonishingly low, doesn't it? For privileged access to such a profound cultural event.
It really does.
So the analysis is pretty clear. Events like Nukol demand planning, flexibility.
Yeah.
But the payoff in terms of an unforgettable, authentic cultural memory is huge.
And the difficulty getting there almost protects it, in a way.
Exactly. It acts as a natural barrier against it becoming overly commercialized or diluted. If your main goal in Vanuatu is that deep cultural connection, timing your trip for Nuggle season on Pentecost, that should be your absolute top priority.
Okay, let's pull all the practical stuff together now. The real nuts and bolts for anyone actually planning this. Money, moving around. First up, currency. It's the Vatu, right? VUV.
Yep, the Vanuatu Vatu VUV, that's the official currency.
And overall costs, the sources seem to say. Moderately priced. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, moderately priced relative to how remote it is. It's important context. It's definitely not Southeast Asia backpacker cheap, but it's also not crazy expensive, like, say, Bora Bora or parts of Fiji or the Maldives can be. It sits somewhere in the middle.
Which leads us to the big one, the daily budget. What number should people be thinking about?
This is key for figuring out if it's feasible. For a mid-range traveler, someone mixing budget stays with maybe some nicer meals, factoring in those essential tours like the volcano or the blue holes.
Okay.
The sources consistently recommend planning for about $80 to $130 per person per day.
80 to 130 USD a day. Can you break that down a bit? How do you hit the $80 versus the $130?
Sure. Hitting the $80 low end probably means you're staying in that $30 guest house we talked about.
Right, the basic one.
Eating maybe 2 simple $10 meals from market stalls. and then allocating the remaining $30 towards a tour or activity, but averaged out over several days, because obviously some days you won't do a big tour.
Okay.
Getting up towards the $130 high end means you've probably upgraded your room to an $80 mid-range place.
With the AC and hot water?
Exactly. Maybe you treat yourself to a $40 sit-down dinner, and you've got a bit more flexibility for local transport or smaller activities within that budget. So the range allows for some flexibility depending on your style.
Got it. Now, the biggest hurdle, it seems, from the research, getting between the islands.
Ah, yes. Inter-island transport. This is where the remoteness really hits home and hits the wallet or the clock.
Okay. Quickest way. Domestic flights.
Quickest, most comfortable. Yes, domestic flights run by Air Vanuatu usually, connecting Efate, Tanna, Santo. But they are costly. Reflects the challenges, low volume. You're typically looking at 100 to 200 US dollars for each one-way flight.
Ouch. So a typical trip hitting those three main islands, you could easily spend $400 to $600 just on internal flights.
Easily. That adds up fast and needs to be budgeted separately from the daily spend.
Which naturally leads to the alternative?
Ferries.
The ferries. Yes, they are the budget saver. Significantly cheaper.
But there's a massive but, isn't there? Oh yeah, a huge but. You are trading money for time. A lot of time. And comfort. A lot of comfort.
How much time are we talking?
We need to be clear here. A flight that takes maybe 45 minutes, the equivalent ferry journey might take 10, 12, even 14 hours. Or longer, sometimes overnight.
Wow.
And the sources describe these ferries as, well, basic. They're primarily for locals and cargo, not luxury tourist vessels. Conditions can be rough, crowded, delays are common.
So choosing the ferry, it's a serious commitment.
It's the defining logistical choice for budget travelers, I think. You have to truly embrace the slow pace, the potential for discomfort, rough seas. It really filters who takes that option.
Okay. And then once you're actually on an island, getting around locally.
That's much easier and cheaper, thankfully. On the main islands, at least, local transport is mainly shared minibuses, kind of like public taxis or regular private taxis in Vila and Luganville on Santo.
And costs for those?
Pretty low. Short trips, running errands in town, getting from the airport to your guest house nearby, typically just 2 to 10 US dollars, very manageable.
So that helps keep the daily budget in check.
It does. But one final crucial point on money that travelers absolutely need to know. Cash.
Cash is king.
Cash is absolutely king, especially outside Port Vila. ATMs, reliable, pretty much only in the capital, maybe 1 or 2 in Luganville.
So on Tanna, or more remote parts of Santo.
You need Vanuatu. Cash. Credit card acceptance is minimal to non-existent in most places outside the main tourist hubs. Even trying to pay with Australian or US dollars isn't widely accepted, except maybe at some bigger hotels. You must plan ahead and carry enough local currency.
Good tip. Essential tip, really.
All right, let's try and tie this all together then.
Yeah, let's synthesize. We've seen the big draws, right? Mount Yasur, that raw volcanic power.
Unforgettable.
Santo's WWII wrecks the history, the incredible diving.
First class.
The Nagoland diving, that extraordinary cultural moment.
Peak authenticity.
And just the ongoing, vibrant Kastom culture woven through daily life on many islands. The core appeal seems to be that blend. Genuine cultural experiences plus stunning, sometimes challenging natural beauty.
Agreed. And so the final verdict, based on everything we've reviewed in the source material,
What do you think?
it's a definite yes. Vanuatu is absolutely worth the effort, worth the moderate expense for a trip in 2026. But
There's always a but with Vanuatu, it seems.
there is. It's worth it specifically for the traveler who is actively looking for that deep cultural immersion, that unique adventure, and destinations that are genuinely off the beaten path.
Right. If you just want a fly-and-flop beach resort with seamless service, maybe look elsewhere.
Probably, yeah. If your whole idea of travel is escaping that kind of standardized mass tourism feel, then Vanuatu is pretty much the perfect antidote.
Okay. But we have to circle back to that trade-off one last time. It's inescapable.
The central theme, isn't it?
Yeah. The remoteness, the infrastructure, which is often basic. Let's be honest, it absolutely reduces convenience. You will likely face delays. Accommodation outside Efate is often rustic. Getting between islands takes significant time or significant money.
True, all true. But here's the critical point. The analysis that comes through, that very inconvenience, that lack of seamlessness, that's precisely the filter that protects Vanuatu's charm. Its authenticity.
Oh, so?
Think about it. If Vanuatu was suddenly easy, Super streamlined, paved roads everywhere, full of international five-star hotels.
The Kastom culture on Tanna wouldn't survive that unchanged.
Exactly. It would inevitably erode, become commodified. So Vanuatu rewards the visitors who commit, the ones willing to really immerse themselves in the landscapes and the cultures rather than just, watching it go by from behind an air-conditioned window.
It's an experience you have to earn, in a way.
You really do. It demands participation, not just observation.
Okay, so that leads perfectly into our final provocative thought for you listening. Considering that moderate daily budget, $80 to $130, which, as we've said, requires accepting some friction, some rustic realities, what kind of traveler, the really committed kind, might actually find that inconvenience itself to be the ultimate luxury?
That's interesting. Defining inconvenience as luxury.
Yeah, flipping it on its head.
Well, think about what luxury often means in modern travel. Sometimes it's about exclusivity, right? Separation from the crowds.
Sure.
In that sense, the physical effort, the logistical hurdles of Vanuatu, the ferry schedules, needing cash, patchy internet, they act as this natural barrier.
A filter.
A filter, exactly. It ensures that the people you meet there, both locals living their lives and fellow travelers who've made the effort, are generally there for the right reasons. They're committed to authentic exploration, not just ticking a box.
So the barrier to entry protects the value of the experience.
Ironically, yes. It preserves something special. It makes the inconvenience, well, maybe it makes it a kind of unlisted secret luxury, the luxury of genuine discovery, far from the easy path.
A challenge that rewards the truly curious. I like that.
Me too.
Okay, lots to think about there. Until next time on The Deep Dive, keep exploring.